Hello, hello. Welcome to Almost 30 Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It's Lindsay and Krista.
Greetings.
Welcome to the pod. We're glad you're here. Thank you for supporting the show throughout the years. If you're an OG listener, what's up?
What's up?
We adore you. And if you're new to the show, Krista and I have been doing this for a while now. And we started this pod during a time in our life where it felt like things didn't make sense. We should know more. Things were falling apart. It was in our late 20s. And we realized that our conversations as friends were really healing. And so we started just talking on air and eventually brought on experts and leaders. And it's really turned into a place where people can come for insights around spirituality, health and wellness, and so much more. And yeah, we're proud. Proud to be here.
Love you guys so much. I'm so grateful for you. I just had for recording, I just had someone DM me. She's like, I just walked past you on the street in Times Square.
Oh, I love those.
I know. I was like, it was
I'm
me.
like, why didn't you say hi?
I know. I need to say hi. She's like, you're sweaty. She's like, you're sweaty. I didn't want to say hi to you. And I was like, yeah, this is so sweet. I'm so grateful to be a part of this world and community of Almost 30. It's been really beautiful.
I was just telling Krista before we hopped on, I was listening to a podcast on The Knowledge Project hosted by Shane Parrish. And the episode was called The Parent Therapy Trap, but kind of was thinking about the larger idea of therapy and bad therapy. The guest, Abigail Schreier, was talking about basically, so over the last decade or so, therapy has become like the de facto solution for everything.
Wow.
For both kids and adults. And
I love this already.
yeah.
I love Mia. I just love Mia left turn. I love a different perspective on what's popular.
Exactly. That's why I love listening to this, because I was having like, oh my God, whoa, every 5 seconds. I was like, this is crazy. So, and we're both people that go to therapy.
Have been going for 4 years.
I always recommend therapy.
I'm my therapist's favorite. It's just what it is.
I'm going to read
no one else gets close.
The description, yeah. That's why she still goes.
Honestly.
Everyone has slowly accepted that therapy is normal and a net benefit to society. But instead of helping kids work through difficult circumstances, what if it's just making the problems worse? That's what Abigail Schreier thinks is happening. And in this conversation, she reveals some surprising reasons why therapy could be bad. How we've just kind of accepted as a culture that therapy, especially for kids, is better than your own parenting.
Girl.
So in this experience, children going to therapy, and let me just say that she talks about there are times when therapy for a child is absolutely necessary. Maybe they have an eating disorder. Maybe they went through an extremely traumatic event. But what she points to is that going to therapy every week keeps them in the problem, in the trauma, talking about their emotions and feelings. And at certain ages, this actually makes their focus and obsession their emotions, which change and move and don't last forever. But oftentimes when we're focusing on them, that's when kids can get potentially depressed. That's when it's like this loop and you're so in it all the time rather than getting out in community, getting out in nature.
Yeah.
Being
screaming
with
in a pillow.
Yeah, screaming in a pillow, being
jumping
with
on the trampoline.
Being with extended family members, getting active. It was just a really interesting conversation.
Laying in the tanning bed for 20 minutes.
and then there was this point about how, and we've talked about this, where people are using the therapy language and parents are using this with their children and also kind of perpetuating this at home. So it's like a kid is having a tantrum. Say a 5-year-old is having
it's like you're having big feelings.
Yes, exactly. You're having big feelings right now. And they're throwing shit at your face and being kind of crazy. And yes, they're having big feelings, but saying that to a child, they don't know what that is.
That's so true.
And so rather than teaching them how to cope with these big feelings, we're just saying, you're having big feelings right now. And that's kind of it.
Wow.
Instead of saying when we have these big feelings, you know what we can do? we can go in the backyard and we can run around and we can scream
Yes.
and we can get the energy out. And then we come back and we breathe and see how we feel or something like that, right?
Wow.
That's kind of a more like tactical, kid-friendly thing.
Totally.
But we're using these words instead of saying they have a tantrum, they're saying they're having PTSD from yesterday when, the teacher made them sit in the chair.
I can't with the words. I can't with the words. It's like, hey guys, we're not saying tantrum anymore. Why do you does it matter?
I know.
Does it matter?
But candidly, as a new parent, I've thought about like just future ways of disciplining and just kind of handling those situations. And I think I erred more on the side of like more of the over therapizing it.
For sure.
If that's a thing.
Well, I think we're all understanding things now through that lens. So then we're like, it's almost like we get excited. We get a little dopamine where we see the kid. We're like, I know what's happening right now. Big feelings. Big feelings are happening. And they're like, I wish someone would have told me that I had big feelings.
Exactly.
And now I'm going to look at you and be like, big feelings.
Yes.
And it's like, it's still from the brain of our adult brain, not like a child brain.
Exactly.
And so it's like, how can we, and also I really think the point that I loved about this that you made was like the disconnect between a parent actually being that person for them to facilitate intimacy through this conflict, intimacy through the emotions, intimacy through the emotional regulation. And then we're providing a third party to do that. And it's like outsourcing what a parent needs to do. And I'm saying this understanding that parents are so strapped and maxed and, outside their window of tolerance for the most part. But it's like, okay, you're really feeling something, just wait a week. And then you can talk about it.
We got therapy on Monday.
We got therapy on Monday. Talk about it in therapy, like understand it in therapy, but instead of like actually being the person, because that's what really creates that emotional intelligence and that relational intelligence is being like, I'm having this experience with my parents and I'm talking about it with my parents.
Yes.
I'm having this experience in my life and now I can go to the person or the situation and really go through it. But yeah, that's fascinating.
There was an example she gave last thing. She was going to like I think it was a parent-teacher conference or actually parent-teacher-child conference type situation. And there was an emotional evaluation of the child. They called it something. And the teacher said, okay, you're going to leave the room to the parent. She was like, okay. She's like, can I take a picture of the evaluation? Like what the questions are. So she did. And so many of the questions centered around, are you suicidal? And so what they found in research was that
How old?
Oh, young. I think it was elementary school.
So what?
So you're introducing this idea of suicide, what that means. Maybe kids don't know, maybe they do. And you're basically saying that this is something that kids do, is an option. Like there's kind of this subtext. And so they found that obviously there's an increased number of suicides in young children, not just because of this, but the fact that it's being introduced, asked about, ruminated on, I think is so disturbing. So
I'm undone.
And the fact that the parent can't be in the room.
This is when I'm officially like a weird boomer conservative.
No, for
Move
sure.
me to the middle of America.
I mean, that was me all morning. I was like, oh, this is completely
it's like
blowing
that.
my
It's
mind.
like there's some weird perversion where like adults are like in their adult mind and brain are like, yes, I've been suicidal. Now I need to check if a kid is. But when you're a kid, your brain and your experience doesn't lead you to think that way. And this is coming. I was so suicidal for so much of my life. My family has always had it. But yeah, it's interesting because I think I didn't think about suicide until it was introduced to me by a family member. And so it's like I didn't understand that was an option,
right,
to leave or exit. And trigger warning. But it's like, yeah, I think you do. And that's the same kind of with drugs. Like once you are exposed.
Yes.
Wow, this is fascinating.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. It's really.
We'll put it in the show notes.
I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, it just got me thinking, baby.
The prescription: more nature, more laughter, more play, more fun,
and check out what's the kid eating. What's the it's like those types. And not to say we need to restrict, but it's like. Is there a lot of sugar happening? Like that could be affecting X, Y, and Z. Whatever. But do you feel, last point on therapy?
Here's where we go full crazy, where I'm like, what are they looking at on the screens? And then it's like, what's the EMF radiation? I'm like, what are they consuming? How many food colorings?
100%.
What's in the processing? What is like
The food dyes is directly related to so much.
Yeah, food dyes is crazy.
ADHD, lots of stuff. But have you ever found yourself kind of in that therapy loop where you're like, I don't know if like talking about this more is going to help?
You know what? I was on my way here and I was walking and I was thinking about something because I was talking to this man that I was talking to, and he was like, have you always been so, what's the word? Confident, I guess. Like, have you always had like high self-worth? And I was like, it's interesting because in the lane of men, I have. In the other lanes, obviously not. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but even when men were bad to me, and I've had a lot of men be really bad to me in my life, and I still always had a story of I love men. And I was just thinking about that, how if I was in therapy from a young age talking about some of the things that happened to me and experiences that I've had, I would have a different story around men that may be different than it is now. Like I've really just been like, I love men. I've always loved and respected men. So I had that as my story, and all of the things that have happened to me sort of get moved into this like, just like a lighter experience that like still is under the bucket of loving men. But if I would have had an over-therapized experience from a young age where I was unpacking everything in a really deep, long way, I think my story would be different. I think I'd be a totally different person.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Very. Like I was just thinking about that this morning. It's like, I'm so grateful that I kept that as my story.
Totally.
Like, and I've done my unpacking. I've looked at stuff. It's not like I'm like completely just bypassing, but it's allowed me to keep the story that was most helpful for me in my life and solidify that in my psyche, rather than like unpacking everything that happened, which I was able to unpack it at a brain level of consciousness that's helpful, where I could understand it in a different way. But if my brain level and my brain development is at a different level, I'm really solidifying during a formidable time a certain story of my experience. And so I decided the story of my experience from a young age, I have that story now, and then I can look with this story as my baseline of I love men, which is a story that I want. I can reprocess things.
Sure.
So yeah, it's great. I mean, fascinating.
And I think good therapists will recognize when having too much therapy over something is happening. Sometimes my therapist will be like, do you want to take like a month break? She's like, I feel like what we were working on, you're doing great.
Love
like,
that.
let's take a break.
Love that.
Because I will find more things.
Totally, 100%.
I will revisit the issue from a few months ago and be like, have I really?
My therapist is always like, we're just going to walk past that. And I'm like, yes, I'm consciously choosing to walk past it. We can walk back to it later. I was like, it's on the shelf right now. She's like, okay, just want to make sure. Want to make sure we're bypassing that.
But really interesting conversation. Love the different perspective. I think that's such a healthy thing to do in this day and age where, just see the other side.
Yeah, and that's why we love Chervin so much. So Chervin from Symbiotica is on the podcast again. We've had such really powerful episodes with him. We have another one that came out earlier this week. This is the second in our series. And we just think Chervin is the best. Symbiotica is such an amazing brand. We can first talk about Symbiotica. It is one of our favorite supplement companies, if not our favorite. We take so many of their products. Their liposomal supplements are my favorite. I love the omega. I love the B12. I love the vitamin D. Most of us are deficient in vitamin D, and that's really a building block for so much. It's a building block for our hormones. It's a building block for other types of functions in the body that are incredibly important. So making sure you're getting your vitamin D when most of us spend 93% of our lives indoors is hard. So their vitamin D and K2 supplements, incredible. I love the vitamin B6 and B12 for my mood, for cellular energy. Their glutathione tastes so good. It's like this liposomal orange cream, and that helps for anti-aging, for cellular repair. Their magnesium cannot be beat. They have a really tasty longevity mushrooms for enhancing your athletic performance. That's like a chocolatey flavor.
Mhm.
That's so good. And then also their creatine. So I take their liposomal creatine, and that has helped my athletic performance, my workouts in a huge way.
And creatine's great for brain health too.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about the creamer. So they basically answered my prayers that I sent up. I wanted a healthy creamer for my coffee or matcha, and they have the nootropic creamer now. It's one of their newest products. It has MCT, it has alpha GPC, it has L-theanine and L-tyrosine. It is delicious. It has coconut milk, vanilla, like it's just so yummy. So I add it to my coffee or my matcha, and it's the best. It enhances memory, mood, attention, and learning. And it also slows the release of caffeine.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So symbiotica.com, and the code is almost 30 for 20% off. It's symbiotica.com. The code is almost 30, and it's CYMBIOTIKA. That's symbiotica.com, almost 30. You guys can get all of our faves. And then Chervin is just a lifelong learner and seeker of truth and knowledge. He has his podcast, Wake the Fake Up. He's been on amazing shows all over. So when you search his name, CHERVIN, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you can find great episodes, including ours. And he shares really deep insights in areas such as Eastern and Western medicine, detoxification, biodynamic agriculture, philosophy, nutrition. And I just love when we can go in. Like, these are like my favorite types of brain melting, expansive conversations. This will help you learn a lot. This will wake you up. And always the intention is to really experience our highest potential.
Yes. Thank you, Chervin. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate your listenership. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already. Follow us on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. We have video. We'd love to see you there. And make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Almost 30 Podcast.
Yeah, we love you guys so much. Thank you for being a part of our lives. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye. Did you know that most cookware and appliances are made with forever chemicals? Yes, chemicals that will be in your body forever. No more. No more of this. There was a few years ago when I committed to having a low tox home. So, products, just the environment that we're living in, as low tox as possible. And my cookware was one of the first things I replaced, and I went straight to Our Place. Not only is their cookware just so like good looking, it also is good for you. So their products are made without PFAS, so those forever chemicals or Teflon, but has a non-stick quality to it. So they're made from ceramic and just so phenomenal. I hand wash these, so just FYI, for me, my pots and pans from Our Place have lasted so long, but I do hand wash them, and it's so easy to clean. I not even tell you. Plus, I just love making my food in these non-toxic, healthy, sustainable uh, cookware pieces. I love the Always pan. So this one, I actually have a few of these in a few different colors. Honestly, I display them on my stove top, even when I'm not cooking, because they just look like a little piece of art. They also have their Wonder Oven. It's the market's first stylish air fryer and toaster oven in one, double the capacity of traditional air fryers, and importantly, free from forever chemicals. I don't know about you, but I had an air fryer years ago that made my food taste like chemicals. I was wondering why. So I love this air fryer so, so much. It's called the Wonder Oven. But for our listeners, I'm super pumped. Go to FromOurPlace.com and enter the code almost30 at checkout. You'll get 10% off site wide. That's FromOurPlace.com. Use the code almost30. And what's awesome is Our Place offers a 100-day trial with free shipping and returns. Get after it. FromOurPlace.com, code almost30. As you know, I am on a journey of just making my home as low tox as possible. And I bet you don't even think about your mattress. I got a birch mattress years ago and it has changed the way I sleep. Not only is it stylish, comfortable, but it is crafted with responsibly sourced materials, made with organic and natural materials. So I'm avoiding harmful off gassing that can happen in the manufacturing process, all the synthetic crap, things that activate allergies. The mattress is hypoallergenic. It is just the freaking best. I get a deep, restful night's sleep every single time, unless my son wakes me up. But I'm just so thankful. I'm so, so thankful. They source only the finest quality materials like organic fair trade cotton, organic wool, and natural latex to create luxurious mattresses designed to give you the best night's sleep. Guess what I have ready to go for Mav? I have a birch mattress, a kid's birch mattress for Mav ready to go. I know. Really cute, right? I wouldn't choose any other mattress. It's the Birch Kids natural mattress made with natural and certified organic materials. It's two-sided. You can flip it for age appropriate comfort. There's a firmer side and a softer side. And I'm so pumped to have him sleep in it eventually. He's not quite ready, but we're ready when he is. So for our listeners, Birch is giving 27% off all mattresses and 2 free Eco Rest pillows at birchliving.com/almost 30. That's pretty freaking phenomenal. 27% off all mattresses and 2 free Eco Rest pillows. Okay. Unreal. Go to birchliving.com/almost 30. That's birchliving.com/almost 30. Sleep better with Birch.
Hey guys, welcome to Almost 30. We have our maid man back in the biz, and we are so excited to deep dive. And it's crazy because whenever we record, I start thinking about anything and I'm like, what do you think about this? And then we start recording. I'm like, hold on, we need to stop because you just have so much knowledge and information. I love your perspective on things. You're such a great teacher. You make things so simple. And so we're so grateful to have you. The whole family at Almost 30 just loves you guys, loves Symbiotica so much. And I was just asking about, you have to talk to them about this, AC. So why is air conditioning bad?
There's a number of reasons. Now, if you're living in like Houston and it's 125 degrees outside and humid, of course you're going to have to run some AC in your house, right? But maybe you shouldn't live there in the first place. The problem with AC is it's distorting the air molecule. It's using Freon, right, which is a chemical to create this cold air. And that cold air causes a miscommunication cue in your immune system. Your body reacts to that cold air. You're breathing in that cold air, and all of a sudden, your autonomic nervous system thinks that there's something wrong happening, and because it's chemical induced, you're not fully getting the oxygen in, and from there, your body starts to send off all types of cues. So a lot of people that get hit with AC, they immediately get like an infection, or they get sick. If you think about it, when you get a cold, what is a cold? It's an infection breaking through the immune system, right? It's not something foreign outside of you that lands in your body and creates a spiral effect. It's within you. And so your immune system caves. And if you're going in from like hot weather to like air conditioning back and forth, that's causing a metabolic issue as well. And your thermal heat control, which is basically how your body regulates its temperature, goes out of whack. And when that happens, you get stuffy nose, sore throat, headache, all of those things. I'm not an air conditioning person at all.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I was in like legit air conditioning, I actually got sick for a day, and I rarely get sick. It's just it's really gnarly on my system.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about the idea that like the optimal sleep environment is like a colder room?
Yeah.
Is that true? Do you
true.
have a cold room? Okay.
That is true. And so I was actually going to lead into that. So I have multiple HEPA filters in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I use 2 HEPA filters on the ground and one in our AC unit. And in the summertime, I do run low AC, but I'm constantly having the HEPA filters run. I've said it before publicly. I think the bedroom needs to be somewhere around 66 degrees, depending on certain things. And it's very important to get vital sleep. So that would be an exception. But at nighttime, you're already energetically cooling off. So it's not such a delta in temperature than if you're living in like 100-degree weather and you're going in and out of cold and whatnot.
Well, I'm like,
And you don't want it hitting you.
right.
Like you don't want to feel the AC, which is another important aspect. If you're feeling the AC hitting you, it's a real problem versus an ambient cooling system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of sleep, what are your tips for optimal sleep? Like, how should we be thinking about sleep?
I mean, sleep is I think we talked in the past about mineralization and hydration. Sleep is, 1C, 1B, somewhere in between that. It's the most important aspect of rejuvenation and really having an effective impact on your life and being in charge of your life. Sleep is where we detoxify. Goes through the stages of detoxification. In Ayurveda, they teach you that the sleeping process is literally the stages of the liver, the kidney, the heart, the blood systems, and the brain going through a very intricate detoxification process. Many of us know about the lymph system, but do you know about the glymphatic system, which resides in the middle of the hemispheres of the brain? It's how the brain detoxifies metabolic waste out of the brain. And if you're not getting proper, adequate, deep sleep with a decent amount of REM sleep, you are not operating the glymphatic system. And so my way of approaching sleep is, what did the ancients do? How did they properly sleep? Well, they were in the pitch dark. There was no, electric smog, right? So dirty electricity. There was no Wi-Fi, right? They weren't eating late at night. Their bellies and their GI tract were relatively empty by the time they went to sleep. Cool temperature rooms, ideally. Pitch dark. I can't stress that enough. And even one electronic weird bullshit green light in the room will mess that up. They were making sure that whoever they slept next to, if they slept next to someone, had the right dosha for them to sleep. So there was a way of like calibrating that. Some people you could just cuddle bear with and have the best sleep ever. And there are some combinations of people that just doesn't work. And you got to come to an awareness around that and not force it. I know many married couples that sleep in opposite rooms. Now, it's not that they're not intimate with each other. Their intimacy is amazing, except they just realize that they can't sleep in the same bed and get a high quality sleep.
I think that's my ideal.
Yeah.
But imagine if you're in a relationship, like those people are in healthy relationships, you're calibrating your energetic field to that field all night. Like I think about that when I've been with people, I'm like, first of all, I shouldn't have been with that, but I'm like, you don't want to be, is that a field you want to calibrate to for hours and hours and hours on and subconsciously, like taking in their data, taking in their breath, like that's why I'm single.
Yeah, and you resent them later for it. But it was just
because you have beef together. If you even have like subconscious beef and you're laying in the beef all night.
Yeah, no, that's like stewing in your own crap.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's really important. Some people just don't realize that. Yeah. And sometimes it's just an energetic thing. It's not even if someone's kicking or snoring or have sleep apnea or whatever. It's like you said, Krista, it's an energy. And some people are just not compatible in that arena. The sleep cycle is so critical. Another thing is getting to bed by 10 o'clock. If you could be in bed by 10 o'clock without electric stimuli for 2 hours leading up to it, you're winning. You're beating the market out there. The index is high for you. Every hour of sleep before midnight, you can double the quality. So if you go 2 hours before midnight, that means you're getting 4 hours of quality sleep right there. Also, waking up on the rise without an alarm and getting sun into your eyes and onto your body, the photobiomodulation that occurs from the UVA rays that sun-kiss the cholesterol on your skin and activate hormone D3 is a critical biological process for proper sleep, because sleep cycle begins when the sun hits the body. That's the conversion of other amino acids into melatonin. You basically bolster melatonin production by getting that sunlight. Movement throughout the day, exhausting the system in a really supple, healthy way, activating different chemicals, mainly adrenaline and other things like that, are so important for proper sleep, because the more adrenaline that's being activated in short spurts, the less stress you are from cortisol spiking. It's very interesting, which is why the hormesis code is so important. That what does not kill you makes you stronger. I'm so attracted to the energy of high intensity interval training. Sprinting, it might be one of the most healthiest activities we can do as a human being. It trumps everything. I've really taken time. Well,
even over weightlifting?
Yes. In my opinion. If you had to choose between weightlifting and sprinting, I would take sprinting. And I've been a weightlifter my whole life, like hardcore at some point. Sprinting is turning on synapses and turning on biochemicals and activating parts of your body that literally tell the synthesis DNA that this body must survive. It's creating survival genes to activate.
Wow.
And think about what is the opposite of sprinting? Sitting. Not moving. Sitting on your couch. Awake. Not sleeping. Awake. The sedentary lifestyle is the most dangerous thing you can do. I'd rather you eat toxic food than eat super healthy and not move. You with me? That's how important that is. And so when you're sedentary, you're telling the immune system and you're telling your genes, there's nothing here left. There's no reason to want to stay alive. And so we have pathways called sirtuins. Sirtuins are programming messaging boards in our body to replenish the body, to keep the body active, to keep the brain cognitive ability high. And so sprinting expresses all of them, because sprinting means that you're running to chase something down to eat it, or you're running from a lion or whatever it is. And the more you do it, the more your body gets calibrated to that. And the more you're conditioned to be able to go from an extreme level of stress back to homeostasis. And that practice, that discipline of doing it over and over, is the healthiest version of you. It creates malleability in your arterial walls, in your brain walls, in your capillaries, in your movement, in your tendons. The resistance of weightlifting, it's the same thing. When you're pushing or you're holding or you're pulling, you're creating micro stress in the body, which is releasing chemicals like lactate and other things, lactic acid. These are healthy compounds to be circulating through your brain and body. The physical body knows like how to survive. And so this came up because we're talking about sleeping. If you're doing high interval training, you're getting the best sleep of your life, because your body needs to repair and needs to rest. And it's one of the most profound things you can do. I surfed my whole childhood. I grew up in La Jolla, California. I used to surf Black's Beach, Wind and Sea. This was extreme surfing. I mean, we're talking about 15-foot waves. Wow. And it was big. It gets gnarly out there. And you're out there sometimes 5-6 hours, going for it. Those days that I surfed 4, 5, 6 hours, imagine what my sleep was like that night.
That's the best feeling.
It's the best.
When your body's like tired like that.
Right.
But it's not like an adrenal fatigue tired, because I've done a lot of HIIT and then had adrenal fatigue, and then that fucked with my sleep. So there's like such a balance of like when to use the HIIT and when to turn that level. I think men can do it a little bit more.
It's a little bit different for men than it is for women, because you guys have different hormone cycles, not only in a 28-day cycle, but throughout the day too. And some women are different than others. So you just gotta like play with it. And remember what we've talked about in the past is find your disciplinary act based on reviewing how you feel, right? And don't take someone else's word for it. Discern it, learn it, and experience it for yourself. I find that for women, based on knowing a lot of the feminine and seeing their experience, high protein meals on the rise, get some good supplements in, get a little bit of movement, and have your interval training session earlier in the day. You don't want it later in the evening for a number of reasons. I find that from what I've learned from women to be the best route for that. There's a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, and it speaks on what we just mentioned. And the zebra is sitting in the Serengeti, eating food, hanging out with its family. Its entire autonomic nervous system is calibrated in perfect homeostasis. Heart rate, blood pressure, energy center, peripheral nervous system, all of the things to calibrate calmness and relaxation. And within a split second, it has to go into a full sprint because a pack of female lions is chasing it down to eat it alive, right? One of the gnarliest experiences in this reality is being eaten alive. And 90% of the time, the zebra gets away. Interesting enough, after 5 minutes of the lions giving up, the zebra's completely back to homeostasis. Think about it. They had to go from relaxation, from parasympathetic to complete ballistic sympathetic state of stress, adrenaline, heartbeat, heat, sweat, brain chemicals, just to survive. And within 5 minutes, they're completely back to balance. Now, why is that? Well, number of reasons. They do a lot of that, right? So they've created that malleability. The body knows how to go to that level and to slow down. And also because they're emotionally not tied to a bunch of nonsense. That lion won't leave me alone. He's making fun of me. Now he's trying to eat me. Whatever it is, it's like we're human beings. We have a lion chasing us everywhere we go. While we're sleeping, the lion's chasing us. When we wake up, the lion's chasing us. Why? Is because we're so scattered brain. We're in 10 million realities. We're addicted to drama. We're addicted to fear. We don't have coping skills. We don't have a toolbox. I mean, I can go on and on. There's a million things. And so it's an interesting observation. And the more we can come back to our true self and be like the zebra, the longer we're going to live. Let me just say, the longer we're going to live and the healthier we're going to live and the more accomplishment we'll have because of it.
And just taking the zebra example, I was thinking about when you were talking about how sitting activates kind of that part of us that, or deactivates the part of us that wants to like survive and thrive and that sprinting offers. Like, I feel like the point I want to get to is how we've been separated from the importance of community and family. And I think the zebra is within the pack. They are kind of within this system of community, animal kingdom community that plugs them into a consciousness, a safety, a love that I think helps them come back to that homeostasis. Yeah. So I would love to hear you talk about just kind of this walking away from or forgetting of like the family. And family could be actual family. It could be more friends, community family that you choose. But I just feel like I see that so much now. I see that in kids. I see that in adults where they're prioritizing either, their career and work, or they're on social media and finding their people there, even though the connection isn't totally real.
Yeah.
But I think it's affecting our health. I think that it's affecting our happiness. Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, the data proves what you just said. So it's not even a projected conviction. It's actually tangible. A healthy social life, a healthy family environment is going to create a stronger immune system and a resistance to pathological diseases. Let's just be straight up about that. If you're surrounded by a loving environment where you have a place at the table and you're there for a reason to create impact and people rely on you, you're going to live healthier and happier and thrive in that community. It's a fact. There's no way around it. And I think for me, it's responsibility and stewardship that steps out in that. And I think those are the two main pillars that I resonate with because, if you have a garden to take care of or you have children to take care of, that means you're stewarding the land or you're stewarding these lives. Just like, they say a grandmother that has a dog might live longer, because she has a responsibility. Those responsibilities in those social environments, those cues of stewardship, whatever it is, someone's the chef, someone takes care of this, someone's providing for this. Everyone has a role. When you have a role, a defined role and a purpose behind that, you're going to live longer. When you're left alone and you're in isolation,
Just
what comes with that?
Because
Lack of
now
purpose, right?
technology kind of takes away all the roles. Food's delivered to your door.
Oh,
Things are delivered to your door.
don't get me started.
You
on
actually
that.
don't need to leave your house. Like your answers are delivered right there on your phone.
ChatGPT.
Relationships are right there on your phone. Like it's actually everything that creates stewardship and responsibility is like taken away from you. This is so stupid. I had to move a bunch of boxes the other day, and probably like 40 boxes, and I was unwell. And mentally, I was like, why am I moving these boxes? Like, I need my PA to move these. And I was like, this is part of my spiritual practice. I was like, move box. Be present with moving boxes.
Did you move the boxes?
So yes, I moved them all. I took my time. I didn't have any distractions. And I said, we're moving the fucking boxes. And I realized how disconnected we are from like doing that type of work.
So
like
addicted to
laying
convenience.
Dopaminergic.
Yes.
Right? So the dopamine is the result. It's the orgasm.
Yes.
But the process of cultivating the lovemaking and all that is being wiped out.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why children should be growing their own food.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like a recipe to like really cultivate children, is to show them how to seed food, how to know the waxing and waning of the moon, soil science, not just drop the seed, but to nurture it, grow it, see it become something, harvest it. That whole process builds faculties in the heart, mind, and soul, and the commitment to wanting to step forward in life. If everything's being hijacked and cut off from you because of apps and technologies, and we're jumping over the whole hurdle, we're missing the glory, the glue. And then we get back to the problem of why people aren't going deep into their health practice, because they didn't build these faculties.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability to do that because they jumped over these things.
Yeah.
And this is the instant gratification world. So not only are we not growing our own food or picking up boxes, we're not even, it's crazy because we're not even riding our bike to the grocery store anymore. Yeah. We're doing this, like watch my hand. That's it.
I know.
And it's showing up at our front door.
Yeah.
Not to mention what that food even is. We're not even talking about that.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the inability of being in your power and creating.
Yeah.
That's the problem where we're at. I think that's one of the main issues we're dealing with today.
And having your body momentum be a part of that.
Reward cycle.
Yeah. Of doing something hard. I was thinking about this with like some of the, like sometimes in my practice working one-on-one with people, it is like they'll start something and then end it really quickly. It's like have a dream, have a vision, then stop it. I think there's a lot of parts. It's like the part that can self-sabotage. There's like an upper limit thing. But I think a lot of it's like the dopamine of like needing the dopamine every step of the way and needing to believe that like every step of the way is going to feel good or it's going to be maybe easier than it is. And it's just like not.
That was such a good point. We're so addicted to the dopamine. And the dopamine is getting weaker and weaker as we are becoming fiends. Yes. Just like a heroin addict or an alcoholic or whatever. You need more and more and more of it. And that is where we're at. And that's why we're getting into heavier levels of escapism now.
Mm-hmm. It's true with AI, even like Oculus, virtual reality is like the heaviest level of escapism.
So Rudolf Steiner predicted this 100 years ago. He said in 2017, he said it in 1917, he said 100 years from now, we're going to enter an age of such hyper materialism that the way of life will be gone from as we know it. And there will be no satisfaction of doing your own chores and creating your own food and being part of that natural life cycle. And now we're entering that heavy dose of it. He calls it the harmonic impulse. Yeah. And he says from 2017 to 2040, if we don't stop the hijacking of our life, our consciousness through technology, and look at AI is now entering the field. It's crazy timing, right? He called this, we're going to enter the eighth sphere, which is a completely dystopian reality where we are completely outside of our personal glory in this life, and we are disconnected from our soul's journey, and we're basically spliced souls and we've forgotten what we've forgotten. We don't even know who our ancestors anymore. We don't even know the ritual practices anymore. And that becomes a dystopian world, which we see in movies now. The movies are making these post-apocalyptic worlds that look exactly like that.
Yeah.
It's like The Purge and all this crazy weird shit. It's all dopamine.
Yeah. That's so real.
I don't know about you, but every single year around the holidays, my skin has a moment where it's just either irritated or breaking out, or I just like see that my wrinkles are even deeper. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But I mean, if we really think about it, like the holidays are as amazing as they are and as fun as they are, there's a lot of stress. There's like different foods that aren't as healthy. It's just a lot. The winter air, if you're in a winter climate, yeah, your skin takes a toll. So I'm really excited to share with you a brand that I'm obsessed with that has developed a first of its kind peptide that addresses the skin issues you see on the surface by working on the cellular level. And it's called One Skin. And I am just really blown away. I'm blown away by also the simplicity of this routine. Um, but I have been using One Skin for about 4 months now, and I've just seen an incredible difference, not only in the skin on my face, but my body skin. I have the OS1 body moisturizer that I use every night after the shower, and it just has made my skin feel smoother, more hydrated. And I don't know about you, but I have like above my knees, like just some like wrinkly kind of skin sometimes. And this has really, really helped to smooth it out, just make it look really, really supple and alive. I love it. If you want to know the science behind One Skin, they have it all on their website. This is a brand founded by PhDs. And I just am obsessed, obsessed, obsessed. I also love the OS1 face, and I love their SPF. The SPF is a tinted SPF that also has the peptide in it. I don't know what it is, but like it goes onto my skin so perfectly, and it just gives me this like dewy glow. So honestly, I'll use the tinted SPF and like not use any other face makeup. I love it so much. So our listeners, here we go. You get 15% off your first purchase using code almost30 when you check out at oneskin.co/almost30. That's oneskin.co/almost30 and use the code almost30 at checkout to get 15% off your first purchase.
I read that women in a hormonal system thrive on oxytocin, men thrive on dopamine. Is that true?
I mean, I think we thrive on both, right?
Yeah.
But there is
I can see that because men get more hijacked. I think men are being more hijacked than ever.
Yeah.
Because of porn, because of their phones. I think men are more addicted to their phones than I think women are. So I could actually see that.
Right.
Where women are still connective, communal. I'm not saying we don't get addicted, but I think I've seen more men addicted to their phones than I've ever seen.
But I guess what I read was that dopamine actually kind of like drives their hormonal system.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's more of a healthy hit than what we're seeing, say, on the phones and porn and all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why men get really caught up in serious depression and isolation, more so than women in that sense, is because they bottomed out on the dopamine.
Yeah.
And when you haven't built the faculty of the dopaminergic process, the satisfaction of like finding that fruit, then after doing that for a certain period of time, you really go in the gutter, you know, because you feel worthless and shamed and you're lethargic and all that kind of stuff. And your biosensitivity or your neurofeedback is pretty much completely twacked out at that point. And that's like when you become sugar addicted and caffeine addicted and alcohol addicted. They really go hand in hand together.
Yes.
And I think, I don't think we just randomly got here. Because we're talking about, you know, there is a lot of people playing chess behind the scenes.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
a lot of organizations playing chess behind the scenes. I don't want to make this into a conspiracy theory, but there are brilliant, brilliant people that understand psychosis and they understand the human consciousness. And
I mean, they're already the chemicals in food. They understand what the chemicals in food are causing us to do, to eat more of it, for kids to be addicted to it. Like,
Yeah.
We already know for a fact that they're altering our food in a way so that it's addictive, and we're the fattest culture. I think, what, 50% of Americans?
70.
We fat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did hear that.
That's pre-diabetic. I mean, it can go on and on. It's gnarly. The statistics are insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
We're like sickest.
Yeah.
Just, I think with the dopaminergic, and even just my box example, I was pissed about the boxes. And I was like, how can I do something else? How can I listen to something? I should put on a podcast. I should like get my PA to do this. And then I'm like, move the fucking boxes.
Yep.
And be in your body doing a physical task that's not related to something with just the mind and the mental. And it's like, how can you cook, clean, like having chores be a part of your spiritual practice and be a part of that like presence movement, and even like a meditation
Yeah.
for people.
Imagine being in that every day, as opposed to like 1 hour of the day you hit the gym. You cannot compare a lifestyle in terms of overall health and balance of someone that is embodying those traits in their activities that they're doing, whether it's for their work or for their leisure. If you're in movement all day long, energetic movement, you're not looking at chores or things as like something that's beneath you, but you see the value in using your hands and stuff like that. That's your anti-aging right there.
Yeah.
Which is another interesting thing about Waldorf education, is that from age 0, from the 3rd trimester to 7, children should not be sitting down at all and getting a curriculum. All they should be doing is working with their hands. So it's hands, and then from 7 to 14, it's heart. So then it's more of the emotional education, and then from 14 up, it's brain and morality, and also understanding what's true and what's not. That's the Waldorf method, and that really speaks to a lot of the holes that we're seeing in today's modern society with children and adults, and where we're at right now. It's fascinating times.
They make kids little workers.
Yeah.
They put kids behind a desk for like 8 hours a day, like they're 9 to 5 workers.
I mean,
I was at school at 7 a.m.
Our podcast, the last one, there was a clip where I'm talking about children in classrooms and what we're teaching kids, and how it's all irrelevant. Sitting in a chair at 7 a.m. when you're 9 years young, that went completely viral, for lack of a better term. And
because people can see it, like you can see it. We've all been in the experience of being a child sitting at a desk, learning the same outdated information that doesn't make sense. That isn't. It's like, but this is the whole thing: is we all know these systems are broken, but like everyone is too asleep to change them.
That's right.
Yeah.
What are we doing about it? Like, so what's the action step? Well, number one, I think it's radical health and radical truth.
That's a good one.
Right? You got to get extreme with those things. You got to take your power back.
Yes.
You got to step into that. Not as a victim because you're resulted as a victim, but because you have a purpose in this life. Find your purpose, find your why. I know it might be cheesy or cliche, but like, how many people really know what the hell they're doing here? Or they're just like part of the thing, and like, they're like, F it. I'm going to try to carve out some moments in this life and entertain myself and get by.
Oh, like I go to Destin, Florida every year. Rid of my Ohio vibes.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we're going to be in Hilton Head November.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I know.
Because then they're losing time.
Yeah.
And then no wonder the whole thing is that time speeds up as you get older.
Yeah.
Of course it speeds up, because you're doing the same shit over and over and over, and you're stuck on the Gregorian calendar, right? So if you're on the Gregorian calendar, you're doing the same thing. It's Monday through Friday. Then you have your weekend. The whole thing's word magic. And then all of this stuff is causing compartmentalization of your life. You're never in the moment. You're not in the breath. Get a yoga practice, start reading a book, start reconciling your life, look and see what's causing you to escape every day, start limiting those things, remove the toxic people out of your body, out of your life and your body. If you're a toxic person, come clean, right? Because it's always like, oh, you gotta remove the
Toxic people, 100%.
You gotta step in and see, are you the toxic person, and find out that, do some radical truth there, stare in the mirror for 36 hours,
Yeah.
take a hit of something, and just go in, Do something different. Change it up.
It's very trippy.
Yeah. Do you think there is, we were talking about this the other day, but do you feel like there is a split happening? There can be a split because is it all or nothing? Is there going to be a dystopian society if we don't get this shit turned around? Or is there going to be a split?
Because I think about
It's all or nothing.
No, it's not for me.
It has to be. We can't shit. Well, we can't. Maybe I'm not understanding what you're asking me. I don't think we can have a shift. I think it has to be a complete kaboom at this point because all the complexes are rotten to the core. They're all rotten, the entire infrastructure.
And the kaboom is, you're saying, like, to just awaken people to what needs to be changed?
Totally. A radical conscious revolution where radical health meets radical conscious, which meets radical purpose, and a complete new design or architecture around how we're raising children.
Yes.
Those things all come together in this form of diagram that will cultivate a new form reality after 2 generations. I believe in this reality. So I'm not sure what you were.
What I mean is, I guess, like to the new. So if there was like an asphere and everyone's living in this certain reality, I don't even live in normal reality now. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be going into that reality.
Oh, not everyone will go into that reality. I agree with that. I think that they say 144,000 of us are going to be on some type of framework of consciousness or higher attainment. I don't know. I don't get into all that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going down that route.
No.
I'm going out swinging, guns blazing, Tupac. Thug.
This is an anarchist. He's going out
and that's the greatest mission ever. Yeah. I'm so stoked. I'm in this incarnation of this timeline.
Yeah.
I think you said that earlier.
I'm stoked.
This is the best. This is like, what's all the movies they make, the Marvel comic movies? They're like flying around. They're like superheroes. We're in it. Yeah. This is us.
Yeah.
And
purposeful.
I love that there's adversity. Am I happy that people are suffering out there and are in disease and stuck to a model that is lost any trust? No, of course not. I have empathy towards that, but I'm also not going to shrivel up and cry. Yeah. I'm going to freaking show the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all in.
You're going to wake the fake up.
You're going to wake the fake up, right? Sure.
That's what's going on. So as people go into the new year, what is just like 1 or 2 things that you would recommend for them when they think about New Year's resolutions or they think about like change they want to make?
I mean,
just the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Burn it down.
The real New Year is not around the corner on New Year, January 1st.
Anymore.
The real New Year is, the spring equinox. Okay, let's just make that clear. That's the New Year.
That's why I asked.
And I don't see that because I'm Persian, because that's the Persian New Year too. But that's how the entire new reality begins as far as the cycle. But regardless of that, every day should be a New Year's resolution. Like switch, people live, let's say you live 100 Gregorian calendars in this life, 100 years. No, multiply that by 365. That's how many New Years you can have, right? You can have infinite amount. Every breath could be a freaking new year. Why are we held to some bullshit law of some fake cosmology and fake calendar that's been disenchanted by some weird material matrix? Fuck that. Let's step into our power every single breath and activate healing, newfound knowledge, newfound information every moment. That is the definition of epigenetics. Epigenetics means your genetic profile is secondary, tertiary to your mental explanation of your life and your momentum in your reality. It is the biology of belief, like my brother Bruce Lipton says, that you can activate best heaven on earth, or you can go down into the depths of hell. And it's all a matter of mindset and how you approach it. So today is my New Year's. Baby. Today is my New Year's. Like what am I thinking right now? I want to go, I want to start swimming more. Like I've been thinking about it. It keeps coming up in my head. Like I used to swim. I played water polo in high school. I'm a dolphin in the ocean. But I want to start consistently swimming. Yeah. Like I want to do explosive high interval training in a pool, freestyle, 100 meters, like going at it, trying to beat my time every week. Why do I want to do that? Because part of me knows that there's a beautiful expression in the water. I'm lowering the impact of physical trauma that's happening, that if I was sprinting on a grass field. And also there's something that I'm channeling that's ancient in the water. And I want to feel and tap into that because I think there's something there to crack. And so I'm going to do that.
Love that.
I'm going to make that happen.
I love that too for like thinking, I mean, for people thinking about starting something new tomorrow, it's like just having it be intuitively led. You don't need to have like a full rounded out answer of like why you're doing it. It can be like, I just feel called to this. I just want more of this and I'm going to do it. It's like all it needs to be. It can be simple. Amazing.
I have one more question.
Okay, let's go.
Is there anything that you're doing right now that makes like no sense to anyone else, but like makes sense to you and you just
love that,
live by it?
As far as like a daily practice or a mindset?
It could be anything.
Yeah, what's a weird little quirk that you have?
I mean, I have a lot. I have a really weird, crazy cousin named David Wolf. Okay, David was David Avocado Wolf. Yeah, he was actually in Ibiza with me. I don't know if you got to meet him. He's a crazy guy, and crazy. We're berserkers. We go berserk, because that means that we're all in for it all. And me and him talk. He's traveling the world right now. He's all over the place. He was in Greece. He's actually in Greece with my mom right now. How epic is that? And we want to chase down Sasquatch.
Love.
So I'm into it.
Yeah. And
I heard he's a portal jumper.
He's a portal jumper.
So he
he's
actually goes in and out of
psychic.
Yeah.
Right.
And he actually is he's a documentarian on her.
Totally.
He takes like plants and different types of minerals and different types of bugs and takes them back for like record keeping of Earth.
How do you know this? This is epic. Most people have no idea. They think this is
just joining your team.
Okay, so we're putting together a Sasquatch retreat up in Northern California.
At Shasta. He's in Shasta.
It starts in Shasta and it goes all the way into Southern Oregon. And that whole area is just tons of sightings and stuff. Like, look, now, am I 100% sure that this is accurate? It has nothing to do with that. It's a belief system that I have.
Yeah.
I love this belief system because with it comes magic and energy. And I don't want to get too rigid in my thinking. I am a scientist. So I'm looking at clean clinical studies on nutrients, like for Symbiotica and stuff all the time. I'm looking at really rigid, complex ideas, but I want to be more in the magic where things are bendable and pliable because I know that this universe is not how it's meant or how it's articulated. And so things like hunting Sasquatch and meeting our cosmic friend and making connection is opening up more art within my life to be able to see things a little bit different. And to go back to Steiner says, if you lose the child within you, you start to get calcified. And one of the number one fastest ways to disease and aging is losing the child magic. When you get too harmonic, mechanistic, and material, you tighten, vessels tighten, skin tightens, bones tighten, sclerotic disease kicks in, and there you go. And I'm going to be a imaginative child on a quest till the day I go into the next realm.
I love that. There should be more retreats like that. This is play, discovery, fun. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going to enjoy the journey. We're going to be present for what is. You might see it. You might not. Like, I love that.
And we're learning the whole time while we're there. We're coming up on new species of medicinal mushrooms.
Yes.
We're entering the phase of season, whatever season that is. If it's spring or if it's fall next year, we're learning about new species of trees and how water works and springs and rivers. We're connected to those things that are
Sasquatch is happy you're doing that.
Totally.
He said he doesn't want you to say hunting. He didn't say hunting Sasquatch. Going to meet.
Yeah, we're not going with weapons or anything like that. We're going there to connect with our hearts and sync up with that. And we're doing it with a group of epic people. So we talked about family and spiritual family. This is it.
Yeah.
Campfires and that's the magic. And I've been on so many epic voyages like that with my cousin. We've been all over the world. We do retreats in Peru all the time. I've done like 9 retreats in Peru. Actually, we're doing one in a few weeks. We've been all over Iceland together, hunting spring water. It's those moments that made me who I am today.
Yeah.
It's not, scientific literature and school systems. It was being in the ethos of real cultivated world experiences. That's the magic. And that's what I live for. And so I fantasize about these things.
Yeah, more life.
Yeah.
More life. That's why travel is just so good.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Totally.
Um,
Especially if you have molecular hydrogen. If you're on a flight for more than 3 hours or up to 19 hours, you don't want to be eating flight food. You want to be hydrating with molecular hydrogen. There's a quantitative index that occurs by taking 12 parts per million molecular hydrogen into your body while you're at 30,000 feet getting radiated in that airplane. It's so important. And you don't want to be eating food in an airplane anyways.
no, it's disgusting.
No wonder people are, whatever, hungover when they get to wherever they're going. And I'm not even mentioning the person who's taking down 5 or 6 drinks and drinks on the flight. Again, how you do anything is how you do everything. I love to travel. I think it's amazing. Yeah. I need to travel more. I can feel it.
Feel it. Yeah. This is so much fun. I feel like our girlies are going to have the inspiration for the new year. They're going to have the molecular hydrogen for their flying and their traveling this year.
Yep.
And we're going to be just completely shifted. We love you guys. We love all your products so much. And I know in other episodes, we've broken them down. Lindsay and I have our favorites, of course. I love the magnesium. I love the glutathione. I love the creatine. I take the creatine after every single workout, and that's why I'm so jacked right now.
The creatine is just
It's fantastic.
I mean, it's so important.
I thought it was just for men.
No,
It's also really good for I eat mostly plant-based, and so it's great for that too.
Yeah. If you're not getting, red meat in 4 days a week, your creatine levels are going down. And creatine is not just good for helping you with training for hypertrophy. It's also building reserves in your skin. It's filling out all the empty spaces. It's giving you a spark of electricity in the body. It's the brain research on creatine is through the roof, which makes total sense because it's generating adenosine triphosphate energy. And so where do we use a lot of voltage? Our brain. So it's no wonder why creatine creates less anxiety, more balance, and your memory goes up. I'm noticing that right now. I'm on our creatine consistently, and our creatine is not regular monohydrate creatine. It's CreaBev. It's a trademark form that comes from Germany that specifically allows the creatine to stabilize in an aqueous solution 50 times longer. Now, what does that mean? That means no bloating.
Wow.
Right. That's the key right there. And so not only are we getting it into your body in that form, but it's also in liposomal form.
Yeah.
So it's coated with phospholipids. And so now it's getting into the GI tract fully intact. But this has never been done before. Symbiotic is the first company to ever make this.
It's the only creatine I've ever had, so I didn't know to say experience. That's why I love it so much. Because I did read, people were like, I get bloated, it makes you puffy. I'm like, I've never had that. But it's like...
And I have the toddler vitamin D3K2 for MAV. And then I take the magnesium L-threonate, the inflammatory health.
It's really good. Metabolic health.
So
You're
good.
the mama. That's like passing through to your child.
She's so good. She's literally.
The B12, D3K2, creatine and omega combo.
Yeah.
With a little bit of molecular hydrogen, you're stoked.
Yeah.
Because you give birth, you basically cultivated life within you, right? And so that life is siphoning all of your nutrients all over your body, your brain especially the DHA.
Yeah.
And so that's why, the omega, the phospholipids, the magnesium, it's just serving. It's epic. We should be getting all our nutrition from food, but food's not there anymore.
I know.
We make food-based products.
Yeah.
Our products are food because they have fat, minerals, vitamins, polyphenols all together. So it's a complete food form vitamin. It's epic.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Thanks for being the best. Okay, we love you guys. We'll see you later.
Almost
Bye.
30. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Chervin. Again, it is Chervin from Symbiotica. It's symbiotica.com. Code almost 30 to get 20% off the best supplements in the game. You can also listen to the other episodes that we've done with Chervin on Almost 30. It's CHERVIN, Almost 30. When you search, there's been some really viral ones, like the one we did on parasites last time, which was crazy. And thank you for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. It means so much when you guys just take a second to rate and review the show. It's just the best. And then almost30.com, you can find our partner information, so information on our amazing sponsors. All the products that we use and love are incredible. Morning Microdose is our Clips channel. Come cruise on Morning Microdose. There's really, really powerful episodes between 5 and 10 minutes, ad-free, every single day for you.
All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next episode. Until then, bye.
Bye.